Hey guys, it's Rebecca, and for today I have my March wrap-up and my April TBR. This month I had a pretty good reading month. I read a total of 6 books. Most of that was because I had a really long car ride to and from Chicago, so I was able to read quite a lot in the car. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. The first book I have is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I did a full review of this book, so I will leave that video linked down below for you guys. And this book is a YA contemporary book about a group of cousins who go to the beach every summer. Don't really know how to describe this book, but there's like secrets and has a really shocking ending. And if you want to know more about it, you can just watch my review on it. But I do want to say, looking back on my review, I was a little harsh on it. I did really enjoy this book. It wasn't my favorite just because I'm not a very big contemporary fan. But I was a little harsh, and I do recommend you reading this book because it was very good and I did like it. It just was my favorite. So definitely pick up We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. The book I have is King's Blood by Jill Williamson. This is a high fantasy novel. It is the second book in the Kinsman Chronicles, and I also have a review of this on my blog, so I'll link that down below for you guys too. This follows the story of Willick and Prince Treven and a lot of other characters as they are leaving their realm because it was destroyed by the Five Woes, which is this world's version of the apocalypse. And most of it takes place on a ship. There's tree and it's a very good, complex, high fantasy novel, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book is Hatchet by Gary Paulson. This book fulfilled my Newbery Award winner. A review of this on my blog soon, so once I do, I'll leave that link down below for you guys. I kind of enjoyed this book. I didn't know anything about it before I went into it, but it is an adventure story about Brian, who is flying in this little tiny plane to go visit his father in Canada, but the pilot has a heart attack and he has to survive on his own in the wilds of the Canadian woods. And it was okay. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was just, it was okay. It wasn't the best Newbery book I've ever read. It was kind of slow at points, and his change from like a city boy to living out in the country and toughing it out there was kind of fast for me. So I didn't enjoy this book as much as I did some other Newbery books that I've read, but overall it was an okay book. The next book I read is Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard. This is the novella bind-up that goes with the Red Queen series. The first one is Queen Song, which is a story about Cal's mother and her life as the queen, and the second one is Steel Scars, which is a story about Farley when before the happenings of Red Queen and when she meets Shade, and you get to see their love story develop, because we don't really get to see that in Red Queen or Glass Sword, so it was nice to see that in Steel Scars. Okay, 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite thing from Victoria Aveyard. I prefer the books much better. She does better when she has longer to develop out her ideas, but other than that, it was a good novella bind-up, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The book I have is King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. This is the third book in the Red Queen series, and I read this after I read Cruel Crown because I wanted to refresh my mind on the world of Red Queen and just get back into that world. If you don't know anything about this book, it is the third book in the Red Queen series. When Mayor is one of Maven's prisoners, and she has to deal with that torture. It briefly follows Cameron and Evangeline. Mostly it's Mayor's perspective, but every once in a while it throws in Cameron and Evangeline's perspective. I wasn't a big fan of that. I wished it had been more equal throughout the story. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I will have a review of this coming up on my blog soon. I feel like I'm saying that for every single one of my books, but I read a lot of my TBR challenge books this month, and I just haven't written my reviews yet because I've been crazy busy with school and reading and all that stuff. But this will be up on my blog soon, and I will leave that link down below for you guys when that is up. but it was a good third installment to the Red Queen series. TBR just uses a lot of interiority, which is fine for some people. I just don't like it very much. I like a good mix of dialogue and interiority, because when it's just constant stream of thought, it's really hard to read, and I find myself losing interest. So overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really excited for the 4th book that's coming out next year. The next book I have is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I really hope I pronounced your name right, and if not, I'm really sorry. But I actually have not finished this book yet. I'm about 150 pages in, but I should be able to finish it tonight because it's not very long. I have like 150 pages left in it, so I should be able to finish it tonight. But this book fulfilled the place you've always wanted to visit category for my TBR challenge for 2017, and this book is set in Victorian London, and obviously I can visit Victorian London, which would be really nice. And I just need like that tortoise, like that's right there, and then I could visit Victorian London. But I can visit actual London, and I'm hoping to do that someday. But this book follows our main character, Audrey Rose, who works as a coroner apprentice for her uncle during the Jack the Ripper cases, and she's trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is and trying to solve the murders. And so far it's really good. I'm liking it, and I can't wait to finish it tonight. And that is all the books that I read for the month of March, and now let's get into the books that I plan on reading in April. The first book I have is The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I've heard a lot about this on BookTube, and I'm not exactly sure what it's about. I know there's monsters and there's music involved, and I'm pretty sure there's a monster who wants to be a human and a human who wants to be a monster. I don't know exactly, and if that's terribly wrong, I'm very sorry for all of those who have read this book, but I've heard great things about this book, and I'm really excited to read it, and I'm just gonna go in blind, because sometimes that's the best way that you have to go into a book. Next book I have is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I also have heard a lot of things about this on BookTube. That's basically my whole TBR this month, is books that I've heard about on BookTube, because a lot of these books came out in 2016 and I wasn't on BookTube during that time, so I didn't know about any of these books. And so all these booktubers have already read these books and are getting ready for the sequels, and I'm like, I haven't read any of these books, so I better get on that. For the next couple months, my TBR is going to be full of books that I should have read last year, but I didn't know about them. And again, with this book, like with this Savage Song, I'm not exactly sure what it's all about. It's about a truth witch, obviously, because of the title. And I know that she can detect when people are telling the truth, and I'm pretty sure that she is looked down upon because of this ability. And I also know that there's a lot of friendship involved with our main character, and I'm pretty sure with the Wind Witch, who is the main character of this second book. I'm not exactly sure what this book is all about, but I've heard great things about it, and I can't wait to read it. The next book I have is Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen. Now, I know absolutely nothing about this book. I don't know what the plot's about. All I know about it is that it's contemporary and has a really pretty carousel on the front, and my friend recommended it to me. She really loves contemporary, and the one thing that I do know about this book is there's this guy that works at a pizza shop and he wants to start eating healthier. That's all I know. And she told me that because I'm doing my Whole30 diet this month, that I should read this book because he's trying to eat healthier and it will inspire me to eat healthier. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll read it. But I'm just going to this book totally blind, and hopefully I will come out of it loving this book, because I need to read more contemporary, because I made a shelf on my Goodreads page with all the different genres that I read, and I've only read 2 contemporary books in my whole life. Like, that's pretty bad. And so definitely need to branch out into more contemporary. So if you have any good contemporary recommendations, please mention them down in the comments below so I can pick them up and branch out into more contemporary, because it's a genre that has a lot of good books, but I just don't know what they are, and so I choose not to read contemporary. But I'm excited to read this book and see what it has in store for me. The last book I plan to read is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Before I talk about this book, I just want to show you how pretty it is. Like, these black pages are so beautiful, and it has beautiful end pages, but this is a library book. It's like bound up and I can't show you the end pages, but it's really pretty. And I don't know much about this book, but I know that it's about like these band of travelers who are going to do something. I don't exactly know, but I know a lot of booktubers really like this book. I know Jesse from Jesse the Reader said that it was his favorite book from 2015, so definitely need to give this book a shot, and I'm going to be listening to this book. I've discovered that listening to books while walking across campus was not the best idea for me because I get distracted, forget what's going on, and then I lose interest in the book. But I figured out that when I'm coloring my Lord of the Rings coloring book while listening to an audiobook, that it's a lot easier for me to know what's going on. And so again, I don't know a lot about this book, but I have high expectations from BookTube, so BookTube, you better not let me down with this book. So we'll just have to see if I like this book, and I'm really hoping that I do because they're just beautiful, and even if the inside isn't beautiful, the outside is, because look at this cover and the pages, and you know, it's a raven, and I love the raven cycle, so you know. That should be a reason enough. It reminds me of my Steve Otters. And that's all for my March wrap-up and my April TBR. Let me know down below in the comments what books you read this month and what books you're looking forward to reading in April. And until my next video, happy reading!